This video is brought to you by PCBWay. With PCBWay, you can get PCBs manufactured quickly and easily. You can choose between standard, advanced, and flexible PCBs. All three have plenty of customizable options, so you can have them done to your exact needs. Additionally, instant quoting and fast turnarounds mean that you can finish your projects with ease. Check the link in the description for more information. Mode should not be a new name to you. Ever since their first release of the A7III back in 2020, a board that we reviewed, the studio has been creeping more and more into the limelight, with their ability to keep boards in stock intriguing many. Fast forward 2 years. Following the release of their 65 comes the Sonnet, a 75 keeping up the spirit of customizability and accessibility. But is it something you should consider as your next metal rectangle? Let's find out. I did not receive retail packaging, and for good reason. There is a lot included. Just to keep transparency, I'd like to disclose that Sonnet parts were shared between content creators. I do not get to keep anything, and the parts I have also may have been used before, instead of being fresh off the factory line like usual. Let's start with the smaller stuff. First are required screws and some bits. Next, a set of Duroc V2s and a lube syringe, which will not be included in the base board. We have plate caps, used for one of the mounting styles, and some nice Mode branded tools. A daughter board, gray feet, and our foams, including a PE foam and plate foam. Here's the hot swap PCB I'll be building with, and the case silicone for another kind of mounting style. And here is a pre-built inner assembly with Reflex linears on a polycarbonate half plate. Finally, we have a black palm plate and a carbon fiber plate. Onto stuff for the case. These are the only two pieces I have in retail packaging. You can see this one's already scuffed. In here is our stainless steel multicolor accent. Additionally, in the next box, we have a black aluminum one and a rose gold one. Also a copper internal weight. Moving on to our top case and bottom case. I opted for a silver top and copper bottom, which is heavy. And that's it. Sonnet is a 75% with a lot of choices. First off, you get the choice between a hot swap PCB that supports stepped caps and 7U spacebar, and a solder PCB which can support stepped caps, split backspace, 7U spacebar, split left shift, and ISO enter. These are of course VIA compatible. Both have daughter boards. I'm just not going to list out all the colors because there are so many options for each piece. Even inner parts like their plate caps and silicone base can be customized. I highly encourage you to use their very well designed configurator to make your own ideal Sonnet. For plates, we have usual FR4, palm, polycarbonate, aluminum, and brass, but also carbon fiber and copper. Half plates are also natively offered in FR4, polycarbonate, and aluminum. Finally, because Sonnet has so many options, the price can range from $300 to $734. Building is easy. First, I'm going to take care of case stuff, like the daughter board, copper internal weight and silicone, and the rose gold strip. Next, the inner assembly. I'm going to grab the hot swap PCB that I've already put Duroc V2 into. We're going to throw on the carbon fiber full plate and install some SOTCs lubed with 205 grade 0. I might as well use the standoffs because the posts are glued in. And now we can talk about mounting. Sonnet allows you 3 different mounting styles. The first I'm going to test is the stack mount, which has the inner assembly resting on top of a large piece of silicone. This was the primary mounting style of the A7III and tends to result in a higher pitched and slightly more muted sound profile. Second is regular old top mounting, and third is top mounting with the included plate caps, which helps isolate the inner assembly by providing a dampening barrier between the case and plate. With mounting figured out, I'm going to throw on DCX white on black, a very simple set that helps the colors of the board pop. Mode boards always have decent sound. It's pretty hard to make a Mode sound bad. Again, Mode did provide a pre-built inner assembly with Reflex linears on a polycarbonate half plate and I'm a fan of its sound in the stack mount config. It's quiet on the plateless part, as expected, but the sound is really clear and clean overall. Although the sound of the switches that have the PC plate underneath them really don't sound terribly strong. So if you were to do plateless, I would stick with FR4 or aluminum. Carbon fiber is generally higher pitched, and with SOTCs, a pretty loud switch, this build has the sound of shaking a spray paint can, as the kids nowadays would say. Stack mount has my favorite spacebar sound, but overall for this build, the mounts sound pretty similar. Isolated top mount has a bit of hollowness, and regular top mount even more. The best way I can describe it is a deep thunking sound. The pitch also decreased from stack to isolated top to top, with stack mount being the highest pitched. Ultimately, the best sounding mounting style highly depends on your build. Stack mount has always been a bit controversial because of how much it relies on foam, or in the case of the Sonnet, the bottom silicone. But with Mode having practically made the mount, and also having the option to use 2 other mounting styles instead, I don't see it as an easy way out. None of the 3 mounting styles are good for bounce. Stack mount takes away most space for movement, and top mounting is stiff. Despite this, with stack mount, you can still see some flex on each row, even with a stiffer carbon fiber plate and standoffs installed. The silicone piece does a good job of compromising between space and acoustics. As for top mounting, both regular top mounting and isolated top mounting with the plate caps have the same stiffness. I will note that the solder PCB has 2 flex cuts while the hot swap PCB has none, so keep that in mind when configuring Sonnet. Stiff mounting also means that there isn't that big of a difference between plateless and plate, especially with stack mount. Carbon fiber is pretty stiff, basically between the stiffness of FR4 and aluminum, and with standoffs, all 3 mounts are unsurprisingly stiff. On isolated top mount and top mount, if you press down hard, there is a considerable amount of bounce, but in my case, this comes with the compromise of hollowness. I really like the design of the Sonnet. Clearly Mode has decided to put a lot of effort into the design this time around, and it has paid off. On top, we have this strip, which you can get in a ton of different colors and materials. The side profile is striking, with a curve on both the top and bottom piece. It not only curves upwards, but inwards, and I really think this contributes a lot to the overall cost of the board. The top and bottom are flush until the curve starts, where you can see a tiny sliver of the top piece all around. Only the left and right are curved, with the back having a flat slant. In the center is our recessed centered USB port. Near the bottom foot of the bottom piece is an engraving of the Mode logo. Sonnet shows a clear departure from the simplicity of the 80 and 65, while still remaining distinctly Mode. All of the branded accessories are just the cherry on top, and they make for a Rama level attention to detail. Sonnet is a great example of a truly premium board, one that doesn't take away from customization, and one that doesn't rely on being exclusive to define its quality. Whether you want to keep it more low-key, or go all out and splurge on exotic metals, there's a Sonnet for you.